Decapitated on the slopes, Dolly Regine Young was 48 years old when she visited Disneyland in January 1984. The Matterhorn bobsleds had been one of the park's signature attractions for decades, and Dolly was eager to experience the Alpine-themed coaster again. The ride featured toboggan-style vehicles that raced through an artificial mountain at speeds approaching 30 miles per hour. Each three-person bobsled was equipped with seatbelts, but ride operators didn't always verify they were fastened. On January 3rd, Dolly boarded a bobsled in the early afternoon. Whether she forgot to secure her seatbelt or it was improperly latched remains unclear. The ride began normally as her sled climbed the initial chain lift to the top of the mountain. At first, everything seemed fine. Then, as the vehicle navigated a sharp turn halfway through the ride, disaster struck. The bobsled hit a particularly rough section of track known for its jarring bumps. Dolly, without the security of a fastened seatbelt, was jolted upward. The momentum of the speeding vehicle combined with the centrifugal force of the turn was enough to lift her completely out of her seat. In an instant, she was thrown from the bobsled onto the cold metal track, her body splayed across the rails. For approximately 4 seconds, Dolly lay on the track, possibly conscious and aware of her predicament. Then came the sound of the next bobsled, already descending the mountain just 20 seconds behind hers. The oncoming vehicle had no time to stop. Its steel undercarriage struck Dolly's upper body with tremendous force. The impact severed her neck almost completely, leaving her head attached by only a few tendons and blood vessels. Blood sprayed across the white artificial snow, creating a ghastly contrast that would later haunt the ride operators who discovered her. The bobsled that struck her derailed partially, stranding its passengers above the grisly scene. Those riders reported hearing a sickening sound, part thud, part crack, as their vehicle hit what they initially thought was a piece of the ride's scenery. When emergency responders arrived, they found Dolly's body wedged beneath the derailed bobsled, her head twisted at an impossible angle. The coroner later determined that death was mercifully quick, resulting from immediate trauma to the spinal cord and massive hemorrhaging. The Toontown Tragedy. Brandon Zucker was 4 years old when he visited Disneyland with his parents on September 22, 2000. The Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin ride had been operating in the park's Toontown section for 6 years. The attraction featured spinning cartoon taxicabs that moved along a track through colorful scenes. Each vehicle could rotate 360 degrees as it progressed through the ride, controlled by a steering wheel inside the cab. Brandon, an energetic preschooler with bright eyes and brown hair, sat in the same cab as his mother. The ride began normally as their yellow taxi entered the first scene. The vehicle spun gently as Brandon's mother turned the wheel. About halfway through the attraction, as the cab made a sharp turn, something went terribly wrong. The small opening between the bottom of the cab door and the ride floor was approximately 7 inches, just large enough for a child's body to pass through. In a moment of excitement or imbalance, Brandon slipped down from his seat. Before his mother could react, he slid through the gap beneath the door. The vehicle's momentum dragged him immediately under the moving cab. The metal undercarriage, weighing over 700 pounds, rolled over Brandon's small body. The crushing force caused catastrophic compression injuries to his chest and abdomen. Most devastating was the oxygen deprivation to his brain, which began the moment his chest was crushed. For approximately 3 minutes, Brandon remained pinned beneath the taxi as the ride continued to operate. Other guests heard his mother's screams, but couldn't understand what was happening in the darkened attraction. When operators finally stopped the ride and emergency personnel reached him, Brandon was unconscious. His pulse was faint, his breathing almost imperceptible. Paramedics performed CPR as they rushed him to the hospital. Brandon survived the initial trauma but had suffered irreversible brain damage. For the next 9 years, he remained in a persistent vegetative state, kept alive by feeding tubes and constant care. His body grew, but his mind never recovered. Medical experts explained that each day, his brain cells continued to die from the original injury. On January 26, 2009, at age 13, Brandon's body finally succumbed to pneumonia, a direct complication of his bedridden condition. The official cause of death was listed as complications from anoxic encephalopathy, brain damage caused by oxygen deprivation nearly a decade earlier.